Awesome news for Palantir in Germany, which has been kind of problematic actually in recent times in the whole legality of using Palantir, has hit a huge milestone where the Bavarian federal state has approved Palantir's deployment. The big headline is that the Vera platform should have a legal basis now to be covered at least, which would be the developed platform from Palantir that ties together data from criminals to different police stations to even witness accounts. So specifically, the approved changes happen to the Police Task Act. With the approval, though, basically the issue before was that if they were even going to be allowed to test with real data before, which was actually happening, the issue really comes down to with an active investigation, technically they're still trying to gather evidence for a crime, and it could technically be an infringement depending on interpretation to be able to even access and connect the dots if the crime is still being investigated. Kind of a catch 22 where you can start without starting, but since you can't start, you'll never know if you were even able to start. Now, for the scale of the data and why it was actually a big concern, and this is probably still going to keep going, there's almost 40 million data points on people being evaluated because it's not only data getting collected from the criminals themselves and the crimes, but those who came forward as witnesses, the victims, as well as informants, which makes sense because you need to get the full picture when investigating a crime. But of course, now there's so much available to different people. So the fear mongering of the abuse of this data comes to mind immediately for the government and the classic trade off of security versus privacy. And then there's also this idea of being a foreign intelligence service, which Palantir, of course, made in the US, makes no secret of their work with the United States government and the military, especially, as well as just the cost of it around 5.4 million euros with a $500,000 in annual operations. It's not a huge amount, honestly, in comparison to the other contracts for Palantir, but you know that dependence can lead to the fear of ballooning costs later on for the German government, and it's just another point here for their citizens to look at. But either way, this is a huge step forward from the previous headspace where we were at the uncertainty around the legal basis of Palantir. Now, remember though, this is for Bavaria, so technically it still be contentious around the rest of the country. But like anything legal, given that precedence is a huge step forward now being able to reference for other states that are trying to implement something similar and maybe even Palantir as well. But what are your thoughts though below? And I'll see you in the next video.